Hello there, you're welcome back to Biology Video Lectures with Akiri Lee or Ademiji Philip. It's lovely to have you with me on the lecture today. So let's get started as you should get your writing materials, attempt the questions first, and let's move. The matured sex cell which takes part in sexual reproduction is referred to as gametes. What are the gametes we have? In humans, we have the sperm cell and the egg cell. Of course, sperm cell is found in the male, while the egg cell are found in the female. So these two forms the gametes that are produced by structures called gonads. Gonads in the female will be ovary, and the gonads in the male will be the testes. All right. So this is what I meant by. So this is a gamete. This is also a gamete. All right. The biome that is characterized with large herbivores, few and scattered fire-resistant trees, that should be the savanna. All right, that should be the savanna, because the rainforest doesn't have scattered trees. It's going to be a lot of trees, and savanna is the one that are exposed to fire, burning, and all of those things. So those ones have thick barks, and all of those. The trees have thick bark to resist fire and all of those things. So the answer is savanna. All right. Now, red blood cells are also known as erythrocytes. These are red blood cells. Why I just added this picture was to make you see how it absorbs oxygen, because it has what we call hemoglobin, like 4. Like that. That's what it has there. So the oxygen gets attached to the hemoglobin, and it carries the hemoglobin, it carries the oxygen around the body. And also, this same red blood cell can also carry, can also transport the carbon dioxide. The joint between the femur and the tibia is known as the femur and the tibia. Now, okay, well, that should be a hinge joint. Hinge. Let me show you that in a moment. Of course, you know that this is the femur, this is the tibia. So this is called a hinge joint, a joint whereby there's movement to a direction, while the other direction there's no movement. For example, I could do like this. Now this is hinge joint because I can move towards like this, but moving like this, I can't move beyond this. No matter how flexible someone is, if you go beyond that angle, you're going to, that hinge, you're going to break. Now, see, let me show you this. Can you imagine? This is, so this can move this way and that way. But if you try to move it backwards, it's going to break. It's going to snap off. So that's the reason why it's called hinge joints. So here are other types of joints, which I will advise you to probably pause the video here to quickly see what they look like and where they are found. Of course, you can see the ball and socket, which is found in the shoulder, and also here too in the hip, as it were. What is the primary function of cofactors? Well, cofactors work like coenzymes, which vitamins are. So it says to aid in enzyme functions. That's what they do. They help enzymes to work. They are called cofactors, they are called coenzymes. They help enzymes to work, so to say. The diagram we are seeing here, it says here, use that to answer the question below. So what's the name of the diagram? This is the, let me show you other, I think I have pictures of other ones here, so you can always know what the answer will be. So this is the wind vane, which talks about, oh sorry, it's not even part of what we have here, but wind vane talks about direction of the wind. The wind is blowing towards south here. Is it blowing towards east or west? Then we also have the hygrometer, which is to measure relative humidity, which is how moist our wet environment is. So this is a hygrometer here. Then we look at anemometer, which is what you are seeing here. This is an anemometer here. This anemometer, which is that measures speed of wind. As this will be turning like that, that turns like that. that turns like that, that turns. The faster it turns talks about how fast wind is blowing. While wind vane just talks about, this wind vane just talks about the direction of the wind, doesn't talk about the speed. Then the last one is rain gauge. So the rain gauge is used to measure amount of rainfall in the year. Amount of rainfall. Of course, this one you're seeing is like the old one, and the newer version is this one that looks like this. So you measure that. That helps. When you add that up, you know amount, you have an idea of how rain falls in a particular area. All right. So the answer to this is anemometer, which is for calculating or knowing the speed of wind. Coloration of the eye is dash variation, like the color of the eyes. If your eyes is blue, if it's brown, if it's black, if it is whatever it is, that is physiological variation, which is a sort of continuous variation anyways. Now, which of the following choices correctly demonstrate the composition of the cell membrane? Well, I've already kept that here for you now, so you can see that the membrane is made up of lipids and proteins. Basically, then some few carbohydrates like that. So lipids and protein forms the cell membrane. Let me explain what I'm trying to do. Let's say this is a cell like this. Let's say this is a cell like this. This is the cell membrane, of course. So this thickness of cell membrane, if you bring that out, it will look like this. So that's what you're seeing here. That cell membrane, this is what it looks like. All right. The feeding relationship among a set of members of a community is referred to as a community. That is going to be a food web. Why didn't I choose food chain? Because it didn't say it's not linear. And when you say a community, that means the organisms will have more than one food to feed on. All right. That's why it is a food web. Food web is like joining different food chains together. And what food web does is it gives an organism an opportunity to eat or feed on more than just one organism. All right. Nitrogen is released into the atmosphere when there is lightning. All right. So lightning, when there's lightning also, there's nitrogen is also released in that factor. I'm trying to find a way to explain that right now, but it's not coming clearly. There's a mechanism to it. Please pardon me. Size, color, and fingers are examples of, I think we already mentioned color. Okay, eye color there, but that's going to be physiological, which is also like, what's it called? Continuous variation, because sizes varies, color varies, even fingerprint also varies. So it's not like this continuous variation whereby is either present or absent. So this is physiological, which is related to continuous variation. The level of organization in Spirogyra and Volvox is, now you need to remember that Spirogyra is a filament like this. So this is a cell, similar cell forming a structure. This is a tissue. Then also for Volvox, this is also a single cell. All of them forming a colony. This is like a tissue also, similar cells. So the answer is going to be tissue. All right. Which of the following scenario is an example of cohesion? Cohesion really means when the water molecules are attached to each other. Let me show you what that means now. If I've taken you on transpiration before, you're going to see that when there's transpiration stream, as water is moving along the xylem, so water is attached to water molecule by cohesion, while it is attached to the wall of the xylem by cohesion. So by adhesion, please. It's attached to the wall of the xylem by adhesion and is attached to each other by cohesion. All right. So it now says here, water molecules stay on the tip of a pin needle, no. Water sticks to the wall of the blood vessels, no. Water molecules stick to one another and form a bead. That's the answer. Just like you have here, water molecules sticks to one another like that. That's what cohesion means. The common thing in plant and animal cell from this option will be the nucleus. They both have nucleus together. Of course, you can see this is the nucleus here, this is the nucleus there. They both have nucleus. The modification in structure, physiology, which is function and behavior of plant and animal over a period of time, that is called, it says modification, please, change. That's called evolution, because there has to be a change to be able to adapt in the environment where the organism is found. All right. Now, this question in another way. The instrument is used to measure what? Well, speed of wind. I mentioned that some minutes ago when we were doing the other part. Speed of wind, speed of wind. A bacteria that is spherically shaped is called, okay, now this is what I want you to remember. Bacteria are equally divided based on shapes they have, not just gram positive or gram negative. Is this what we're saying? Is this when bacteria is round, we say it is coccus, singular, cocci, plural. So if it's now in twos, we call that diplococci, 4 tetrad, sacina. Then when we say staphylococci, now watch, when we say staphylococcus, that's like we're having the spherical bacteria in mass like that. So they love to stick together in mass like that. While we have what we call streptococci, which is this one here, which is they form a chain like that, just a chain. That's why it is called streptococci, like strep, like chains of cocci, chains of bacteria. Then the next one you're seeing here is bacilli or bacillus singular. This is rod-like. So this is spherical. This is rod-like. Looks like a rod. So you have bacillus, you have singular. So you can say streptobacillus. You can see cocobacilli. This one means that it is not fully round, it's not fully cylindrical. So the last one is they are in spiral. So we call that, you can see the example is spirochetes. Then we have the one that is like coma that causes cholera, that's Vibrio cholerae. All of this classification is based on their shapes, please, on their shapes. The flame cells are used for extrusion in what? So flame cells basically are used in extrusion in what organism? In flatworms. So what we have here, the flatworm we have here is going to be the liver fluke. All right, so that's the only flatworm we have here. That's the liver fluke in that option there. Nematode is roundworm and all of that. So the food chain refers to the feeding relationship between animals in a community or in a group, so to say. I think I can say in a community. Yes, in a community. The host of Teniasolium. Teniasolium is a tapeworm found in pig. So if you want to contract that through pork, so to say. Now I want you to pay attention to this, that Teniasolium has hooks to hold on to its prey, or to its host, while Tenia saginata does not have hooks. They both have suckers, quite alright, to obtain nutrients and all of that, but the hooks is prominent in Teniasolium, which is found in pigs. This Tenia saginata is found in cow, or let's say cattle, as it were. Now, the dentition here is found in what? This first two looks like canine, so it looks like incisor. This is canine. Oh, let me do something here. Let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Wow, interesting. So normally, I think this is for man, because man has 32 teeth. So it's going to be 8 up here, 8 down here, 8 up here, 8 down here. So this is 16 plus 16. That's 32. So the answer is man. When an ovary is placed in the receptacle, so on the receptacle above the floral part, it is referred to as what? The ovary is above the receptacle, above other flower parts. That would be a superior ovary. So what kind of flower has that? Let me show you that. So this is what the question says. So a flower that is hypogeneous will have a superior ovary. You can see that the ovary is above the floral part, above the receptacle, as it were. While this is perigeneous, which means that it's at the same level. While epigeneous means that the ovary is inside like that, while the floral part are above. So this one's going to have inferior ovary. This is having superior ovary. This is having half inferior ovary. All right. The type of nutrition exhibited when organisms live on the surface or inside the body of another type of organism that's going to be parasitic. That's going to be parasitic. You're living inside or outside and you're obtaining nutrients, that's going to be parasitic. An example of organism which exists as a colony, of course, is volvox. All right. So that's what volvox looks like there. All right. The following are examples of morphological variation except, okay, size is, fingerprint is, color is, wow, this, okay, but ability to taste PTC, as phenethiocarbamide, is physiological. All right, so the answer is B. Ability to taste PTC in some individuals is a character that is what? Heritable. Yes, you didn't acquire it. Something you can pass on to your next generation, so to say. Agglutination is the dash of the dash. Agglutination means when a cell is red blood cells ruptures. All right, so it's going to be, or let's coagulate, okay, like get stuck together. So it's going to be coagulation of the, agglutination is the coagulation of this. So it's going to be the coagulation of the red blood cells. That's correct. What organelle is the site of photosynthesis in plants? I guess you picked chloroplast, but let me show you something more. So this is what the chloroplast looks like. So this chloroplast actually has some structures in there called chlorophyll, a pigment there, which actually will absorb sunlight. So I'm showing that chlorophyll actually pigment in the chloroplast. Which of the following is the characteristics of a bacteria except they can be seen under microscope? That's correct. They range from 0.5 micrometer in diameter. That's correct. They are grouped according to their cell shape. That's also correct. They do not cause disease. Wow. They cause disease. Not all of them anyways, but to say they don't cause disease, that's not correct. Some do cause disease, some are beneficial, but not all of them are. So this statement didn't say some, just said they do not cause disease, so that is wrong. The level of organization of amoeba and euglena cell is cell. Why? Because they are just one single unicellular organism, so to say. So the answer is cell. The appendicular skeleton includes, now let me give you a guide here. Appendicular has to do with the skeleton that we use in movement, in walking. So I want you to pick this out for yourself. So looking at this, all the bones of the lower limb, talking about femur, tibia, all of those, fibula, and all the bones of the pelvic girdle, which is called pelvic girdle, which attaches this lower limb to the trunk. That's appendicular skeleton. Also, the upper limb, which is made up of the humerus, radius, and ulna, all the phalanges and all of that, plus this clavicle and the scapula there, which is called pectoral girdle, all of that forms the appendicular skeleton. So all of that forms appendicular skeleton. But other ones, such as the backbone, the ribs, and the skull, all of that forms the axial skeleton. But this will make it easier for you now. This is what I'm saying here. So this is appendicular skeleton. You can see pelvic girdle plus lower limb, then upper limb plus shoulder girdle. That these two forms the appendicular skeleton. So what you need to do now is look at that picture there, at those options there, and pick out the one that has those ones there. So I guess you picked forelimbs. No, you picked pectoral girdle and pelvic girdle. That's what made sense here. Why? Because if you choose forelimb is in B, but skull isn't part of it, all right, so the skull has made that wrong. Now, D also, of course, this accurately axial skeleton. Hope you've taken note of why we chose A as the answer. The protista that is a producer in an aquatic food chain is, of course, protists. You know, protists basically, some are photosynthetic, some are heterotrophic in nature. So in this regard, the one that, from these options here, the only one that has chlorophyll or chloroplast is Chlamydomonas. So it takes part in formation of, this is found in fresh water. So this is the primary producer or the producer which is eaten by second primary consumer, and all of that and all of that and all of that. The difference in structure, morphology, and behavior of plant and animal is called variation. Yes. How different we are in structure, in behavior, and all of that. Those are variations. Those are differences we have. So that's variation. Okay. We saw this not quite long, sometimes ago, in this same question. It says the structure is adapted for, of course, okay, it has incisor, it has canine, and the canine are not too sharp. It has premolar and molar. Apparently, it's going to be an omnivore. A. If it were to be an herbivore, it won't have canine at all. If it were to be a carnivore, the canine will be very long. So let's check this out. Now I want you to study this. All of, take note of what we'll be cycling. That's canine, no canine, just one canine, no canine, no canine, one canine, one canine. All of them, when you look at all those places, you notice that all of them are going to be what? Herbivores. Herbivores, basically. All right. They are all herbivores. They don't need canine to tear any flesh, so to say. While the ones that are flesh eater, like these, the dog, it has canine. And this omnivore that eats flesh and all of that also has canine, so to say. The product after the union of the male and female gametes in animals is called the product. That's going to be zygote. Zygote, or we say fertilized egg, but zygote is what is okay from this option. The possession of scales, laying of eggs with shell, and bony structure of the head are characteristics shared by reptiles and birds. All right, reptiles and birds. Because you see here, laying egg with shell. Fishes also lay egg, but they don't have shell there, so that's why it doesn't fit in. And mollusk too also lay egg that also has shell, but it doesn't have scales. All right. The lung of the lungfish, the lungs of the lungfish is an adaptation for respiration dash. Oh, okay. Okay, it's to complement gills while in water. Yes, that's what it does. Now, it is, it uses, this is lungfish. It has lungs. You can see the right and the left and right lungs, so to say. It has lungs for breathing, like normal kind of breathing. So it has gills, it also has that. So it says to complement the gill while in water. Yes, it helps that. And however, let me say this, we actually want to pick that, because if you bring this fish on land, it's going to be able to still breathe. I will pick the answer A actually, but the point is, if you say B to complement gill while on land, okay, I'm not so sure right about now. It's a bit confusing here, but I think I'm going to work with. It uses this to really to breathe in water, really. That's the gills. But it sounds logically reasonable that while it's on land, it's going to help it too. But I think I'm going to work with A, but I think B also might be correct, sincerely. Which of the following is an example of active transport? Now, let's start by saying what's active transport. This is the transfer of substances from where they are little to where they are more by the use of energy. Because normally, according to definition, things ought to move from this A to B like this. But according to active transport, even though they are just 4 molecules here, they will still move to this place forcefully by use of energy. So the question here is, what from this option, we need to look at place whereby substances are being absorbed regardless of whether they are more in that place where they are being absorbed to. So from what I've seen, the oxygen exchange between red blood cells and liver cells, no oxygen, carbon dioxide exchange between muscle cells, and no water moving out of this. No, the answer is D, reabsorption, sodium reabsorption in the kidney. That is the one that demands energy for it to happen. So this is what we are seeing here. This reabsorption taking place here is against concentration gradient, which means that there's already enough calcium around and sodium around. But even with that, active transport still forces it to those areas. The key event in the transition of the amphibians from water to land is the dash. Okay, replacement of the gills with the lungs, yes. Because they can't actually use gills, they can't actually use, they can't. The key event in the transition of amphibians from water to land is option B, A, all the way. Replacement of gills with lungs, because they won't need gills to breathe on land because there's no water on land, so to say. So they use lungs. Erythrocytes are known as red blood cells. I believe that's clear enough. White blood cells are called leukocytes. Phagocyte, which is option C, is a type of white blood cell. All right. And D means white blood cells already, which is leukocyte. Gregor Mendel is regarded the father of genetics because he was the one that did a lot of crossing, law of independent assortment, law of segregation, all of those things. He provided those laws and they are actually really valid. The most efficient respiratory structure used by free-living protozoa will be free-living. Whether free-living or not, protozoa are just one single cell, so they can use their body surface. So just like that, there can be gaseous exchange because this body cell is not quite thick. All right. So this is what we are seeing here already. So you can see oxygen going in, carbon dioxide going out just through the membrane like that. Carbon dioxide is added to the atmosphere when build-up of organic compounds, plants. Sugar are completely broken down in animals. Yes. When you break down sugar, which is in this case glucose, in the long run, CO2 is being released into the atmosphere. So the answer is sugar are completely broken down in animals, like you're having what we call cellular respiration. The host of liver fluke are, the host of liver fluke should be, okay, in the life cycle, there's a stage whereby it stays in the sheep and in the river, river snail. So the answer is C. It stays in the sheep and also in the liver, sorry, in the snail, so to say, the sheep and in the snail. That's where some people contact it, because the snail, when people go to swim in this around such water, the now the part label 1 is what? Well, let's label this quickly together. Of course, that's going to be stigma. The answer is stigma. Stigma, of which we know that this is going to be style, and this one, which is 2, is going to be what? Ovary. All right, and that's, so the answer is stigma. Which of the following factors can reduce the population of a community? Can reduce. That's predation. When they are being eaten and killed by other organisms, in no time they will end up dying out and probably going extinct if care is not taken. In mosses, the structure which performs the function of water absorption is they don't have roots, so it can't be roots. The answer is rhizoid, and that looks like this. This is a rhizoid, which is going to attach to where it's living, and this is the rhizoid in like very magnified from I think this is liverwort, one of the categories of mosses, so to say. Okay, sorry, just this I think this is still liverwort, but it's part of bryophyte, which has rhizoids for attachment. How does an enzyme affect the rate of a reaction? Well, what enzyme does really is to make sure that you don't use all the energy to carry out a reaction. Instead of, if, for example, the reaction ought to probably take 3 hours, but when you add a catalyst, or let me say an enzyme, it's going to make it faster than that, and the energy we use will reduce. So in that regard, the answer to this is it lowers activation energy of the reaction, then it increases reaction rate. So you won't use much energy, and at the same time, the time for reaction to occur is going to be quite faster and quicker. Insect that goes through adult stage without becoming pupa are what? Well, I would say this way. We have the type of metamorphosis. This one you are seeing here, you are just seeing the egg, from the egg straight to nymph. This is called incomplete metamorphosis. Incomplete. It's not complete. It just jumps to nymph. Nymph is a small miniature adult, but might not have all the features of the adult. We call it miniature, means a smaller adult because it looks like adult already. All right, that's what nymph is, and that is incomplete metamorphosis. While this one is complete metamorphosis, whereby you have egg to larva to pupa to adult. So from what we have on this, the options that carry out incomplete will be this cockroach and grasshopper. And the question is, insect that goes through adult stage without becoming pupa are except. So all of these are the ones except what? Bees. Bees undergoes normal complete metamorphosis.